What if the wealthiest person in your neighborhood is the one you've never noticed? Not the man with the roaring engine at 7 a.m., not the woman posting beach photos in December, not the house glowing with chandeliers behind tall iron gates, but the quiet one, the one who leaves for work before sunrise, who drives a car that doesn't turn heads, who wears the same watch he's had for 10 years. What if real wealth makes no noise? Imagine this. It's 6:15 a.m. The sky is still gray. The air is cold against the skin. A middle-aged man stands in his small kitchen. The hum of the refrigerator fills the silence. He pours black coffee into a chipped mug. No marble countertops, no gold fixtures, just a clean, simple space. He opens a worn notebook. Inside are numbers, savings rates, investment contributions, rental income, dividend projections. Not flashy, not glamorous, just steady. Outside, a neighbor slams the door of a brand new luxury SUV. The engine growls. For a moment, it feels like success just drove by. But inside this quiet kitchen, something far more powerful is happening. Security, control, freedom. This is the world of The Quiet Millionaire by Brett Wilder, and it begins with a truth most people never fully accept. Wealth is not what you show, it's what you keep. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Rich. Let me tell you about David. David earned 6 figures by the age of 32. Promotions came fast. His LinkedIn looked impressive. His Instagram looked even better. Rooftop dinners, designer sneakers, weekend flights just because. Every raise became an upgrade. Bigger apartment, newer car, smarter phone, thinner laptop. From the outside, David was winning. But every month, his bank account reset to near zero. His bonuses were already promised to credit card balances. His lifestyle expanded exactly as fast as his income. One Friday night, he sat alone in his luxury high-rise apartment, floor-to-ceiling windows, city lights blinking like applause. And yet, his chest felt tight, because he knew something no one else did. If his job disappeared, his life would collapse within 3 months. That's the illusion of rich. Looking wealthy is easy. Financing wealth is easy. Broadcasting wealth is easy. Owning wealth, that's rare. The first core concept of this book is brutally simple. Your spending does not define your success. Your surplus does. Surplus is quiet. It doesn't sparkle, it doesn't trend, but it compounds. The quiet millionaire understands that income is only potential energy. Wealth is stored energy. Imagine 2 people earning the same salary. One spends 95% of it. The other spends 60%. At first glance, their lives look similar. Same job, same city, same opportunities. But 10 years later, one is still trading time for money. The other owns assets that work while he sleeps. The difference wasn't luck, it was margin. And margin creates power. Chapter 2. The Power of Invisible Discipline. Now meet Sarah. Sarah works in a mid-level management role. Solid income, nothing extraordinary. She doesn't talk about money. She doesn't argue about markets at dinner parties. She doesn't brag about investments. But every month, without fail, she moves 25% of her income into diversified investments, automatically. No drama, no emotion. When her friends upgraded to bigger homes, she stayed put. When coworkers leased new cars, she paid cash for a reliable used one. When colleagues panicked during market downturns, she kept buying. Her discipline was invisible. And that's the second core concept. Wealth is built through quiet, repetitive decisions, especially when no one is watching. There is no applause for skipping the impulse purchase. No trophy for maxing out retirement contributions. No social media likes for saying, "No thanks, that's not in my budget." But discipline compounds just like money. Picture this. It's 2008. Markets crash. Headlines scream collapse. Friends are selling everything. Fear is thick in the air, like smoke you can almost taste. Sarah feels it too. Her portfolio drops. The numbers on her screen bleed red. But instead of reacting, she leans forward. She increases her investment contribution. Why? Because she understands something emotional investors don't. Volatility is temporary. Ownership is permanent. 10 years later, those scary investments have multiplied. The fear that once felt overwhelming has faded into a footnote in her financial history. That's the quiet millionaire mindset. Not flashy, not reactive, not desperate for validation, just steady. The silence in their life is not emptiness, it's focus. While others chase signals of success, they build foundations of security. While others seek attention, they seek independence. And one day, without warning, the quiet one no one noticed is no longer working because they have to. They're working because they choose to. That's the difference. That's the power. And this is only the beginning. Have you ever asked yourself, if I stopped working tomorrow, how long would my life continue exactly as it is? Not emotionally, not optimistically, mathematically. Would it be 30 days, 3 months, a year? Or would everything you've built begin to crack the moment the paycheck stops? Sit with that, because Chapter 3 forces you to confront a truth most people avoid. You don't own your lifestyle. Your job does. Chapter 3. Own the machine, not the wheel. Imagine you're riding a bicycle. As long as you pedal, you move. The moment you stop, you fall. That's earned income. Now imagine something different. A moving walkway at an airport. You step on it. Even if you stand still, it carries you forward. That's asset-based income. The quiet millionaire understands this difference at a cellular level. Most people spend their entire lives pedaling faster. New certifications, longer hours, side hustles, promotions. They exhaust themselves trying to increase speed, but they never step onto the walkway. Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus worked in IT. Smart, skilled, highly paid. Every year he negotiated raises. Every year he felt proud. Every year he also felt trapped. One evening, his daughter asked him, "Why do you miss my school plays?" He answered automatically, "Because I have to work." That night, the word "have to" echoed in his mind. Have to. That's when it hit him. He wasn't building freedom, he was reinforcing dependence. So Marcus began small. Instead of upgrading his lifestyle with each raise, he redirected the increase into assets, index funds, dividend stocks, eventually a small rental property. At first, nothing felt different. His life looked the same. He still went to work, still commuted, still answered emails. But beneath the surface, something was changing. His assets began producing income, quietly. A few $100s at first, then more. It felt insignificant compared to his salary, but psychologically it was revolutionary. Because for the first time in his life, money arrived without him trading hours for it. That shift changes everything. Here's why. When all your income requires your presence, you are the product. When your income comes from assets, you are the owner. And ownership creates leverage. Think of it like planting trees. If you spend every season harvesting someone else's field, you'll always need permission to eat. But if you plant your own orchard, there comes a day when fruit falls whether you show up or not. The quiet millionaire plants orchards, slowly, patiently, without applause. And over time, the machine becomes stronger than the operator.
Chapter 4. The Psychological Shift from Consumer to Builder. Now, let's go deeper, because the real transformation isn't financial, it's psychological. Most people see money as a tool for consumption. The quiet millionaire sees money as a tool for construction. Construction of what? Freedom, security, optionality. Picture two neighbors. One receives a $5,000 bonus. He immediately thinks vacation, new TV, celebratory dinner. The money burns in his mind until it's spent. The other receives the same bonus. She pauses. She asks one question. How can this make me money? That single question separates consumers from builders. Builders delay gratification, not because they hate pleasure, but because they value power more. And here's the deeper why behind this behavior. Consumption gives a dopamine spike. Ownership gives peace. Dopamine fades fast. Peace compounds. Let's break this down with something simple. Imagine you buy a luxury watch. For the first week, you feel powerful, confident, noticed. But slowly, the excitement dulls. It becomes normal. Now imagine instead that you use that same money to buy shares in productive assets. You don't feel fireworks on day one, but 5 years later, those shares are worth double. They generate income. They represent options, time off, career change, early retirement. One decision gave you a week of feeling rich. The other gave you a decade of being rich. This is the psychological shift. From how will this make me look to how will this make me stronger? The quiet millionaire trains their mind to see opportunity cost everywhere. Every dollar spent is a worker fired. Every dollar invested is a worker hired. Read that again. If your money could speak, it would ask, do you want me to impress people or to serve you? This is why discipline isn't deprivation, it's delegation. You are assigning your money a job, and over time, those jobs stack. 10 workers, 50 workers, 100 workers, until one day your financial workforce is stronger than you. That's when something subtle happens. Fear decreases. Negotiation power increases. You stop tolerating toxic work environments. You stop accepting underpayment. You stop chasing approval because you no longer need validation disguised as income. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't fail to build wealth because they lack intelligence. They fail because they never shift identity. They still see themselves as earners, not builders, not owners. But in the final part, we're going to uncover something even more unsettling. A realization that changes how you see retirement, how you see risk, and how you see time itself. There is a hidden rule the quiet millionaire follows, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. What if retirement is a lie? Not the concept, the timeline. Chapter 5 begins with a dangerous assumption most people carry. I'll build wealth later. Later when the kids grow up. Later when the salary increases. Later when life calms down. But later is expensive. Time is not just passing, it is compounding. Chapter 5. Time is the silent multiplier. Imagine two seeds. One is planted today. The other is planted 10 years from now. Same soil, same sunlight, same water. But one becomes a forest. The other, barely a tree. The difference? Time. The quiet millionaire respects time like a sacred ally, not because they are patient, but because they understand a brutal truth.
Money grows exponentially, but only if you start before you feel ready. Let me show you something simple. If you invest consistently from age 25 to 35 and then stop, you can end up with more wealth than someone who waits until 35 and invests until 65. That's not magic. That's compounding. Time does the heavy lifting. But here's the deeper realization, the shocking one. The goal isn't retirement, it's independence. Retirement says, I escape at 65. Independence says, I choose at 45, or 40, or 38. The quiet millionaire doesn't chase an age, they chase a number where their assets generate enough income to cover their life. At that point, work becomes optional, and optionality is power. Because when you can walk away, you negotiate differently, you live differently, you breathe differently. Time stops being your enemy. It becomes your employee. Chapter 6. The Courage to be Boring. Now we arrive at the final truth, and it's uncomfortable. Building wealth is boring. No adrenaline, no drama, no lottery tickets, just repetition. Invest, wait, reinvest, repeat. In a world addicted to speed, the quiet millionaire wins through slowness. While others chase crypto hype, meme stocks, overnight flips, they stay steady. They understand risk is not volatility. Risk is permanent loss. So they diversify, they automate, they remove emotion, they build systems that protect them from themselves. Because here's the real enemy: impulse. Impulse buys the car. Impulse sells in a crash. Impulse upgrades the lifestyle. Discipline whispers. Impulse screams. The quiet millionaire listens to the whisper, year after year, until one day the whisper becomes wealth. And then something beautiful happens. They don't need to announce it. They don't need to prove it. Their life becomes quiet in a different way. No panic about bills, no fear of layoffs, no dependence on approval. Just space. Space to think, space to create, space to live. That is the real luxury. Not noise, not flash, not applause. Freedom.
Your 3-step action plan. Start within 24 hours. No theory, no excuses. Here's what you do next. Step 1. Calculate your freedom number. Tonight, open a notebook. Write down your total monthly expenses. Everything. Rent, food, utilities, subscriptions, debt. Now multiply that number by 12. That's your annual life cost. Next, divide that annual number by 0.04. That is your freedom number, the amount invested that could statistically sustain your lifestyle through returns. Now it's real. Now it's measurable. Step 2. Create immediate margin. Within the next 24 hours, cut one recurring expense. Just one. A subscription, an unnecessary upgrade, an ego purchase. Redirect that exact amount into an investment account. Automation is key. You're not saving, you're hiring your first financial employee. Step 3. Invest before you feel ready. Do not wait for perfect knowledge. Do not wait for perfect timing. Start small. A low-cost index fund, a retirement account, a diversified portfolio. Consistency beats intensity. Your goal is not brilliance, it's repetition. Because repetition becomes habit. Habit becomes identity. Identity becomes destiny. And now, imagine yourself 10 years from today. Same city,
Same world, but different posture. Calm, certain, unshaken by headlines. Because while others were performing wealth, you were building it, silently, patiently, powerfully. This is the path of the quiet millionaire. No spotlight, no applause, just discipline compounded over time. And one day when someone asks how you did it, you'll smile, because the answer will sound almost too simple. I kept more than I showed, I built more than I spent, and I started before I felt ready. If this shifted your perspective, subscribe now. And in the comments, answer this. If money stopped being about status and became only about freedom, what would you change starting tomorrow? Let's build quietly and let the results speak loudly.